All right, shalom, shalom. This brother Ainwaz Zaab, a.k.a. Humble Wolf, coming out of HOI, New York, New Jersey. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all glory, and all honor unto the Most High God, Yahweh. And I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Secondly, man, I want to give a hearty shalom to all the brethren in them, all the sistren, the elders, all of the strong, mighty, powerful elders that have been putting in this work, and to all of my brothers and sisters out there, all tribes, all congregations, bringing out the Most High's word and keeping the commandments and faith in Yahweh Shai. Hearty shalom to all y'all out there. So it's your brother Ainwaz Zaab, man, a.k.a. Humble Wolf, just coming to you, brothers and sisters, with a quick current events topic. You know, I really think it's important that brothers and sisters continue to pay attention to what's going on out there in the world. So we're going to get straight into it, man. Don't want to overtalk it. Like I always like to say, man, before I go into it, these international news outlets are really good for brothers and sisters to go into. So I got two different news things that I want to go into, two different current events that caught my eye as I was reading through some of these. So let's show the first one, all right? I made sure I bookmark it just so I don't lose it. So this is the first one here, all right? This is, let me go back to it, Salakia. Let me go back to it. Just to show, this was RT News coming out of Russia Today News, another news syndicate, another news outlet that I like to use. So let's go back to it now, all right? And this is, this came out January the 2nd, so-called 2021. This is 9:33 GMT. I believe that's in British time, right? Anyway, its title is called COVID Camps Put Disease Carriers in Detention Centers, Proposed New York Law Suggests. So brothers been talking about, you know, these FEMA camps and detention camps and stuff like that. But now we're seeing that there's been a law, a New York law that's been proposed and suggested for these so-called detention centers, right? So we're going to read this, you know, and just for the record, man, I'm just going based off of what this is saying, right? Based on what this is saying and based on what brothers been saying for the last couple of decades, man. Brothers been talking about having, like, you know, these camps and all that, these certain FEMA camps and detention camps and all of that, you know, martial law and all this kind of stuff, right? Now we seeing it, you know, the beginning stages of it happening here now. They talking about it already. So let's read this article right here. It says, a New York State lawmaker has introduced a bill that will allow the government to detain people deemed a potential public health risk amid concerns that the COVID-19 crisis is being allegedly used to usher in authoritarianism. Authoritarianism, Salakia. It's a little tricky word, right? Authored by a Democratic member of the New York State Assembly and Nick Perry, Bill A416 calls for the removal and or detention of individuals who are identified as a case, contact, or carrier. So it says removal and or detention. So when you remove somebody, you remove them off the face of the earth. That means you put them to death. Calls for the removal and or detention of individuals. So the language is very subtle, very tricky, very crafty. All right. So reading on. Calls for the removal and or detention of individuals who are identified as a case, contact, or carrier of a contagious disease, right? The sweeping powers would be employed in the event of the state government declaring a health emergency due to an epidemic of any communicable disease, the bill proposes. The legislation states that the government must provide clear and convincing evidence that the health of others is in danger before ordering a person or group to be detained. People being removed will have the right to legal representation and are allowed to supply the telephone numbers of friends or family to receive notification of the individual's detention. So they just gonna basically scoop you up, put you in this damn concentration camp or whatever, because for whatever reason, because they say that you quote unquote posing a health risk to the public, right? So they're gonna remove you, detain you, and put you in some kind of detention camp, give you some kind of legal aid, and allow you to get some phone numbers. They basically locking you up, right? It says the law apparently allows the governor or health official to unilaterally approve such detentions, but a court order is required within 60 days of confinement, and judicial review is also required if the individual is still in detention after 90 days. Citizens that are placed in detention will be released once health authorities determine that they are no longer contagious. The proposed law states. The bill also allows the governor or relevant health authorities to require people deemed potential health risk to submit to medical examinations, as well as undergo a prescribed course of treatment, preventative medication, or vaccination. See that? So they also, once you get into these detention camps, what this bill is proposing is once you get into these camps, they're going to require you to undergo prescribed course of treatment, preventative medication, or vaccination. See that? So they're going to require you, under this bill, they're going to require you to get a vaccination if they deem you a potential health threat. This is what brothers have been talking about when they talk about these FEMA camps and all of this stuff, right? And it's coming to pass now. You know what I'm saying? YouTube, for no reason right now, should flag this down. For no reason. Why? Because I'm reading what the article says, right? Reading on. It says the law does not, here's the point that I want to hear. The law does not specifically mention coronavirus. On his website, Perry says A416 relates to the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health. So it didn't necessarily mention coronavirus, although that's the main point of discussion, especially over this past year, right? But that's going into anything. So any communicable disease, they can put you in this detention center for, right? And they could have you undergo required vaccinations, man. So that's it on that. There's more to this here, but that's it on that. That's the point I really wanted. So let's get a couple scriptures on this, and then I want to go to another article and read that as well, right? So let's get it, man. Let me see what I want. Second Ezra. Let's go to Second Ezra chapter 15. See that? Detention camps, man. Detention camps. Right? Let's go to Second Ezra 15, and let's start at verse 14. Right? Second Ezra 15 and 14. It says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." So in these last days, man, we're going to start seeing these different wars happening, man. Yahweh Shai been talking about that, wars and rumors of wars and all of that, right? So in these last days, man, there's going to be sword and destruction coming to this world. where one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. The modern day sword today, as we know, is the gun. You're going to have all different kind of ammunition coming around in these last days. Right? Verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. Let's look up that word sedition in the etymology real quick. Right? Sedition. Sedition. Sedition is a mid-14th century word meaning rebellion, uprising, revolt, concerted attempt to overthrow civil authority, violent strife between factions, civil or religious disorder, riot, rebelliousness against authority, coming from the Old French sedition, right? And also coming from the Latin, meaning civil disorder, dissension, strife, rebellion, mutiny, right? And then it goes in even more into the etymology with the prefix se going into apart and all of that as well, right? So sedition is a rebellion, uprising, revolt, a riot, violent strife, right? So let's go back to that now. It's always good to have these kind of things in your back pocket, Israel. So let's read that again. 2 Esdras 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, uprisings, riots, violent strife. There's going to be all of these things happening among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Meaning what? They're not going to care what governor so-and-so has to say. They don't give a damn what president so-and-so has to say, right? In these last days, man, there's going to be a deep sedition among men, thus saith the Lord, right? Violent strife and uprisings among the people. Verse 17, here's the point that I wanted. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Why is that? Because it's going to be detention camps, right? There's a proposed New York bill that's in the works, right? According to reputable sources like Russia Today News, saying how these things are going to be happening, right? And don't think that that's just going to be for New York. It's going to be for these other states as well, right? So they're proposing a bill to say that if you have a so-called communicable disease, right, that you are susceptible to be removed or detained and put into a detention center, right, for up to 60 days. And then you'll be required to undergo medical vaccinations to deal with your communicable disease. This is what is happening. And this is what brothers and sisters, this is what brothers on the front line and the elders and them have been talking about for decades now. And now we're seeing it live and direct, man. So this is what it's about in these last days, right? Verse 18. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Damn right, men gonna be afraid. They're gonna be stripped out of their house and getting pulled away into some damn detention camp, right? Verse 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See that? So that's what's going to be coming to this place, man. There's no one's going to have pity upon their neighbor. People going to be destroying houses, spoiling goods, right? A man shall be trying to go into a city and shall not be able, right? Detention camps and all of these different things. The elders and them been talking about this, man. And now we're seeing the beginning stages of what's going to happen in these last days. Prophecy 101, right? So now let's go to the next article that I want to go into. Which one was that one? I think that was AP. It's another good international news syndicate as well, AP, Associated Press. All right, so here's the next article right here. All right, this is AP News, and it says Iran plans 20% uranium enrichment as soon as possible. See that? So while you jumping up and down for because Biden won and all of this other nonsense, you jumping up and down for your damn $600 stimulus check. Iran is on the move, ramping up their uranium enrichment ICBM plans, right? Let's read this article. It says Dubai, United Arab Emirates. It says, quote, Iran said Saturday it plans to enrich uranium up to 20% at its underground Fordo nuclear facility as soon as possible, pushing its program a technical step away from weapons grade levels as it increases pressure on the West over the tattered atomic deal. So Trump, I remember Trump, he ripped up base. He basically withdrew from that Iran nuclear deal, right? He walked away from it, and it's going to say right here, Salakia. It says, the move comes amid heightened tensions between Iran and the U.S. in the waning days of the administration of President Donald Trump, who unilaterally withdrew America from Tehran's nuclear deal in 2018. See that Trump withdrew America from that deal, right? That set in motion an escalating series of incidents capped by a U.S. drone strike that killed a top Iranian general in Baghdad a year ago, an anniversary coming Sunday that has American officials now worried about possible retaliation by Iran. So that's what they're referring to by that top Iranian general is that guy Soleimani, right? There was a drone strike, and he's saying this time last year. So this Sunday, which would be the 4th, I believe, either the 3rd or the 4th. Yeah, the 3rd, Salakia, January 3rd. Last year, they had a drone strike on General Soleimani, who was a top Iranian general. And they were all celebrating how we got Soleimani and all of this stuff, celebrating the man's death, right? So now America's worried now that there's going to be retaliation, right? You know what I mean? Anyway, reading on. Iran's decision to begin enriching to 20% a decade ago nearly brought an Israeli strike targeting its nuclear facilities, tensions that only abated with the 2015 atomic deal. A resumption of 20% enrichment could see that brinkmanship return. So see that a couple years ago, Iran was doing the same thing, ramping up their nuclear plans, and Israeli was close to striking the nuclear facilities. So that's gonna happen again. They're gonna resume back to get their uranium up so they can build a nuclear bomb, right? And Israel not gonna be happy about that. Neither is America, and they're gonna want to plot stuff to potentially either bomb the nuclear facility or do something to slow down the process. Right? Let's continue reading on. It says, even Ali Akbar Salih, the U.S. educated head of the Civilian Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, offered a military analogy to describe his agency's readiness to take the next step. We are like soldiers, and our fingers are on the triggers. Damn. Let's read that again, man. It says, this is what Iran is saying, man. We are like soldiers, and our fingers are on the triggers, Salih told Iranian state television. The commander should command and we shoot. We are ready for this and will produce 20% enrichment uranium as soon as possible. Man, I'm going to leave it right there. I don't even think anything else is as good as that quote right there. The man said, we are like soldiers and our fingers are on the triggers. So while y'all playing games, Israel, Iran has their finger on the trigger, man. He said it live and direct on Iranian state television, man. Right? Let's get some scripture in this now, because this is prophecy right here, man. Straight prophecy. Let's go to Isaiah, I believe it's 54. Isaiah chapter 54, I believe it is. And verse Khan. Let's start at verse 15. Isaiah 54 and 15. It says, behold, they shall surely gather together. Salakia. Behold, they shall surely gather together, but not by me. Whosoever shall gather together against thee shall fall for thy sake. Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. See that? So the Most High has these various men, and which are the so-called scientists out here, that is bringing forth an instrument for the Most High's purpose, right? That's what he says, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire. That smith is the one that's making these different weapons. So in your modern times now, the smith now is your top nuclear uranium scientist, man. Your top uranium nuclear engineers, right? That study this stuff, that know, that your top physicists and all of that, your doctors of physics and all of these things, right? These are the smiths now in these modern times. That's blowing the coals in the fire. They doing the research. They crunching the numbers, right? They doing tests. They doing research. They got the analytics. They got the different dates and research and all of that, right? And they bringing forth an instrument for his work. So they bringing forth a certain instrument, that ICBM, that intercontinental ballistic missile, man, for his work, for the work of the Most High to be done. And I have created the waster to destroy. That's what that waster is. That instrument is that ICBM, man. These uranium-filled nuclear bombs, man, that can travel thousands of miles in a matter of 90 seconds, man. Right? That's what it's going into. And like we just read, Iran says that they have their finger on the trigger. They just waiting for the command. They just waiting for the word go. And they on it, man. Let's go to 2 Peter. While Israel playing games, man. While Israel forming the fool in these last days. You got Iran with their damn finger on the trigger, man. Let's read this, man. People playing games in these last days. This is, let me see what I want, man. 2 Peter 3. And I'll start at verse 5. I'll start at verse 6. Salakia. 2 Peter 3 and 6. Whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. So see that's why you read in Isaiah where it says that the smith is bringing forth an instrument for the work of the Most High, because the Most High has reserved this place unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men, right? This world is kept in store. It's being reserved for that instrument to do the work that the Most High wants it to do, right? Let's jump down to verse 10. Classic in Israel, man. Classic. 2 Peter 3 and 10. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the work that are therein shall be burnt up, man. So that's what that waster is going to do. That waster is going to it's going to be let loose during the days of the Lord, right? With a great noise, and the heavens and the elements and all that shall pass away and melt away, man, with strong, exceeding, fervent heat. With that ICBM, man, right? Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? So what kind of people you going to be in these last days, Israel? You still going to be playing games and forming the fool? You still going to be in your secret sins? You still going to be doing all kind of nonsense and foolishness that the Most High commanded you not to do? Or are you going to be that righteous brother? Are you going to be that sincere sister? Are you going to be that Israelite brother and sister to hold it down, man, to endure, to put on the whole armor of the Most High, endure to the end, man? Have faith. Faith without works is dead. Put your brick in. Fight for your crown. Stand stiffly for the Most High and His word. Are you going to be that brother? Are you going to be that sister? Or are you going to be that brother and sister burning up in these last days, man? Right? Verse 12. Looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, man. So see that? So Iran got the finger on the trigger, man. He said it live and direct. You can't make this up. He said, we got our finger on the trigger. So that means that it's already ready. That means basically everything is ready to go. They got their finger on the trigger, and they just waiting for the command to let loose, man. While Israel playing blasted games in these last days. Where's that one in Zechariah, man? Where their eyes consuming in their sockets. I want to say that's in 14th chapter. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 11. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth, man. See that? So that's what's coming to this society. That's what's coming to this world. There's going to be such a great plague and destruction, so much so that while you standing on your feet, man, you're going to get burnt away. Your eyes and your tongue is going to consume away while you stand on your feet, man. That's some heavy stuff, man. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person are you going to be, Israel, in all holy conversation and godliness? Right? Let's go to Luke now. Luke, the 12th chapter. So Israel, man, this is what y'all got to be doing, man. Watching and praying. Because these things are happening all around us. And instead of playing games, man, we need to be diligently seeking out our salvation, man. Making our calling and our election sure in these last days. Right? Let me see what I want. What did I want? Salakia, Israel, bear with me. Damn, Salakia Israel, bear with me. I know it's in Luke 12. Oh, it's further down, Salakia. It's further down. Yeah, Khan. Verse 54. Luke 12 and 54. It says, and he said also to the people, when you see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, there cometh a shower, and so it is. And when ye see the south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time? See that? That's heavy, man. We can discern the things on a carnal, physical level, right? Basically the things that's in front of us dealing with, the weather and all of that, right? But Yahweh Shai is basically saying y'all can discern and figure that stuff out. How come y'all can't figure out the times that y'all living in, right? And how do you figure out the times you're living in? By looking, right? Observing the time, not on the left-hand side dealing with astrology and wizards and all of that, like the scriptures talk about, but observing the time, meaning what? Looking around you, man. Understanding what you have to do and what's going on around you, right? That's what it's about in these last days. So the Yahweh Shai is calling y'all hypocrites, man, because there's things happening all over and we need to be discerning the time, right? Last precept of the day, man. I believe that's in Ephesians, man. I'm going to sign out. Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5 and 15. And I'm going to close out with this right here. Ephesians 5:15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil, right? So we have to walk circumspectly in these last days. We can discern the face of the sky and of the earth. We have to also discern the times amongst us, right? So you got all of these different things happening. You got potentially FEMA camps and martial law and so-called detention centers, right? Got laws and proposed bills in New York potentially coming to pass, right? And you got Iran ramping up their uranium enrichment plans, right? Getting they nuclear bombs ready to go. You got some of the leaders and some of the workers saying that they got their fingers on the trigger, right? So these things are ramping up, man. So we have to, as Israel that's awake, we have to walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil, man. Observe and look around you and see what's going on in these last days, right? So with that, man, I'm going to sign off. It's your brother Einwar Zaab, a.k.a. Humble Wolf, coming to you out of HOI, New York, New Jersey. Once again, I want to give a hearty shalom to all the brethren, all the sistren, all 12 tribes, all four corners. I want to give a hearty shalom to all of the elders, especially the elders out of HOI, right? All of my elders and them out there. Hearty shalom to you brothers out there, been putting in this work for decades, man. Shalom to y'all brothers, and shalom to all of the nation of Israel, man. Don't matter what camp you in, what congregation, so long as you an Israelite brother or sister, you got my love, man, always, right? So it's your brother Einwar Zaab, a.k.a. Humble Wolf, signing out. Shalom.